Hello, my name is Bryan Jones. This presentation is designed for public managers and focuses on key legal rights and responsibilities in the public sector workplace. Public managers are expected to balance organizational goals with fairness, accountability, and legal compliance. Understanding employment laws is essential to ethical and effective management, particularly in government settings where decisions directly affect employees and public trust. Why legal awareness matters. As Bowman and West explains, managers spend more time managing people than anything else. Because of this reality, legal awareness is especially important. When employment laws are misunderstood or ignored, the consequences can be serious. Legal mistakes often lead to lawsuits, damaged morale, and ethical failures, which undermine trust between employees and leadership. So, the objectives and what viewers will hopefully learn. In this video, I will walk through 5 major workplace laws that are critical to public managers to understand. Rather than focusing only on legal definitions, this presentation emphasizes the practical, day-to-day implications of these laws. The goal is to help public managers better understand how legal requirements affect everyday supervisory decisions. First, we'll begin with the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA. The Americans with Disabilities Act applies to public employers and requires managers to understand disability broadly. As Bowman and West state, the Americans with Disabilities Act requires an employer to provide reasonable accommodation to employees with disabilities. Now, a reasonable accommodation allows a qualified employee to perform the essential functions of their job, as long as it does not create an undue hardship. Public managers must also engage in an interactive process, meaning open communication and careful documentation of accommodation decisions. Second, I'd like to start to talk about the Fair Labor Standards Act, the FLSA. The Fair Labor Standards Act governs minimum wage, overtime, and employee classification. The United States stands out amongst developed nations for its long work weeks, which raises concerns about workers' well-being, as noted by Tucker. One of the most common FLSA violations is employee misclassification. Accurate record keeping and proper classification are essential responsibilities for public managers and help prevent costly legal disputes. As we continue through this presentation, the next thing we're going to discuss is the Family and Medical Leave Act, the FMLA. The Family and Medical Leave Act provides eligible employees with up to 12 weeks of unpaid job-protected leave. Research by BART shows that the FMLA's job-protected leave increases the likelihood women are working for their pre-birth employer in the year after giving birth. This highlights how important job protection is under the FMLA. Managers must also remember that retaliation is prohibited, and employees cannot be penalized for exercising their rights to protected leave. Another law that we want to consider is the Equal Employment Opportunity, the EEO laws. Equal employment opportunity laws prohibit discrimination and apply to hiring, promotion, and discipline. As Bowman and West emphasize, managers must leave their personal prejudices at home and enforce workplace rules fairly and objectively. Even unintentional bias can create legal liability. Consistency, fairness, and documentation are essential responsibilities for public managers. Now let's go ahead and we'll talk about Occupational Safety and Health Act, also known as OSHA. The Occupational Safety and Health Act requires public employers to provide a safe work environment. Arbery and colleagues note that health care facilities continue to generate worker complaints with poorly designed violence prevention programs. This shows why OSHA compliance must be proactive rather than reactive. Training, hazard prevention, and enforcement of safety standards are critical management responsibilities. Real-world public sector example. A useful reminder in public management is that personnel is policy. Consider a situation where a public employee requests FMLA leave to care for a seriously ill parent. When a supervisor denies the request and later issues a negative performance evaluation, legal problems quickly arise. This type of mishandling may constitute retaliation, expose the agency to liability, damage morale, and undermine trust in leadership. What I'm hoping from this presentation is that you have some key takeaways for public managers. Employment laws are designed to protect both employees and the agencies. Consistency and documentation matter. When managers are unsure, consulting HR or legal counsel is often the best course of action. Well, we're at the conclusion. And what I want to say is legal compliance supports ethical management and builds trust and legitimacy within public organizations. As Rachmed explains, the future of management is inseparable from the future of humanity itself. Understanding and applying workplace laws is not just about compliance. It is a core responsibility of ethical public leadership. Thank you everyone for allowing me this opportunity to share with you my thoughts.